It's a bustling harvest time morning at the Spanish nursery, a bilingual nursery school in North London. Guardians help the babies out of cycling head protectors and coats. Educators welcome the youngsters with a nestle and an upbeat "Buenos dias." In the play area, a young lady requests her hair to be packed up into a coleta, Spanish for ponytail. At that point rolls a ball and yells "catch" in English. At this age, kids don't gain proficiency with a language, they obtain it, says the school's chief Carmen Rampersad. It appears to summarize the advantageous ease of the little polyglots around her. For huge numbers of the youngsters, Spanish is a third or even fourth language. Primary languages incorporate Croatian, Hebrew, Korean and Dutch. Contrast this with the battle of the normal grown-up in a language class, and it is anything but difficult to reason that it's ideal to begin youthful. In any case, science offers a significantly more unpredictable perspective on how our relationship with dialects advances over a lifetime, and there is a lot to empower late amateurs. Extensively, unique life stages give us various points of interest in language learning. As infants, we have a superior ear for various sounds. As little children, we can get local accents with bewildering speed. As grown-ups, we have longer abilities to focus and vital aptitudes like education that permit us to constantly extend our jargon, even in our own language. What's more, an abundance of elements past maturing, like social conditions, showing strategies, and even love and kinship, can influence what number of dialects we talk and how well. Not all things go downhill with age, says Antonella Soros, a teacher of formative etymology and executive of the Bilingualism Matters Centre at the University of Edinburgh. She gives the case of what is known as unequivocal getting the hang of considering a language in a study hall with an educator clarifying the principles. Small kids are exceptionally awful at unequivocal learning, since they don't have the psychological control and the consideration and memory abilities, Soros says. Grown-ups are greatly improved at that. So that can be something that improves with age. An investigation by scientists in Israel found, for instance, that grown-ups were better at getting a handle on a counterfeit language rule and applying it to new words in a lab setting. The researchers analyzed 3 separate gatherings: 8-year-olds, 12-year-olds, and youthful grown-ups. The grown-ups scored higher than both more youthful gatherings, and the 12-year-olds likewise showed improvement over the more youthful youngsters. This told with the after-effects of a drawn-out investigation of right around 2,000 Catalan-Spanish bilingual students of English. The late starters gained the new dialect quicker than the more youthful starters. The analysts in Israel proposed that their more seasoned members may have profited by abilities that accompany development, like further developed critical thinking systems, and more prominent phonetic experience. As such, more seasoned students will in general definitely know a considerable amount about themselves and the world and can utilize this information to process new data. What small kids exceed expectations at is adapting verifiably, tuning in to local speakers and copying them. In any case, this kind of learning requires a great deal of time with local speakers. In 2016, the Bilingualism Matters Centre arranged an inner report on Mandarin exercises in elementary schools for the Scottish Government. They found that 1 hour 7 days of instructing didn't have a significant effect to 5-year-olds. In any case, even only 1 extra half hour, and the nearness of a local speaker, helped the kids handle components of Mandarin that are more diligently for grown-ups, for example, the tones. Simple procurement. We as a whole begin as common linguists. As babies, we can hear the entirety of the 600 consonants and 200 vowels that make up the world's dialects. Inside our first year, our minds start to practice, tuning into the sounds we hear most oftentimes. Babies as of now jibber-jabber in the primary language. Indeed, even infants cry with an emphasis, copying the discourse they heard while in the belly. This specialization additionally implies shedding the abilities we needn't bother with. Japanese infants can without much of a stretch recognize L and R sounds. Japanese grown-ups will in general locate this progressively troublesome. There is no doubt, Soros says, that the early years are pivotal for getting our own language. Investigations of surrendered or segregated youngsters have indicated that in the event that we don't learn human discourse at an early stage, we can only with significant effort compensate for this later. In any case, here is the astonishment: that cutoff isn't the equivalent for unknown dialect learning. The significant thing to comprehend is that age fluctuates with numerous different things, says Daniela Trenkic, a psycholinguist at the University of York. Youngsters' lives are totally unique in relation to those of grown-ups. So when we think about the language abilities of youngsters and grown-ups, Trenkic says, we're not contrasting like and like. She gives the case of a family moving to another nation. Commonly, youngsters will get familiar with the language a lot quicker than their folks. Yet, that might be on the grounds that they hear it continually at school, while their folks may be working alone. The kids may likewise feel a more prominent desire to move quickly since acquisition the language is pivotal to the social endurance, making companions, being acknowledged, fitting in. Their folks, then again, are bound to have the option to associate with individuals who get them, for example, individual foreigners. Making the enthusiastic bond is the thing that improves you at language learning, in my view, says Trenkic. Grown-ups can obviously likewise make that enthusiastic bond, and not simply through affection or kinship with a local speaker. A 2013 investigation of British grown-ups in an Italian fledglings course discovered that the individuals who stayed with it were helped by holding with different understudies and the educator. On the off chance that you discover similarly invested individuals, that makes it almost certain that you'll push on with the language, and that you'll continue on, Trenkic says. What's more, that truly is the key. You have to go through years learning it. Except if there's a social inspiration for it, it's extremely hard to continue. Prior this year, an examination at MIT dependent on an online test of almost 670,000 individuals found that to accomplish local-like information on English language structure, it is ideal to begin by around 10 years of age, after which that capacity decays. Notwithstanding, the investigation additionally indicated that we can continue improving at dialects, including our own, after some time. For instance, we just completely aced the sentence structure of our own language by around 30. This adds to a past, separate online examination that shows even local speakers adapt right around one new word a day in their own language until middle age. Trenkic calls attention to that the MIT study dissected something very explicit, the capacity to go for a local speaker as far as linguistic exactness. To the normal language understudy, that may not be such applicable. Individuals at times solicit, what is the greatest preferred position of unknown dialects? Will I acquire more cash? Will I be cleverer? Will I remain more beneficial? However, the greatest preferred position of realizing unknown dialects is having the option to speak with more individuals, she says. Trenkic herself is initially from Serbia. She just got familiar with English in her 20s, after she moved to the UK. She says she despite everything commits syntactic errors, particularly when she is worn out or pushed. However, in spite of all that, and this is critical, I can do astonishing things in English, she later writes in an email. I can appreciate the best abstract works, I can create significant and rational writings of publishable quality. Actually, the MIT test ordered her as a local English speaker. At the Spanish nursery, where the instructors are singing Cumpleaños Feliz and the book corner stocks the Gruffalo in Hebrew, the chief herself ends up being a late starter. Carmen Rampersad experienced childhood in Romania and possibly truly aced English when she moved to another country in her 20s. Her kids assimilated Spanish at nursery. Be that as it may, maybe the most bold etymologist is her better half. Initially from Trinidad, he took in Romanian from her family, who live near the outskirt with Moldova. His Romanian is magnificent, she says. He talks it with a Moldavian highlight. It's silly.